Hello, hello. Am I live? Let's see. I am new to this live streaming. This is my first time using StreamYard, but I want to get comfortable using this. Mic check, mic check. I'll use this video as a trial run, come back later and see what ways I can improve. Let me, 1 second. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started. Um, Hi, y'all. I'm Renisha Smith. I am a family nurse practitioner, currently working as a labor and delivery nurse here in Houston, Texas. And I'm actually just starting this week, my last semester as a graduate student, working on my doctorates in nurse midwifery. Some of you all have been to my channel and have been here for a while, and you know that I am passionate about educating women. I'm passionate about teaching women how to incorporate women's health into their daily lives. I really enjoy encouraging and inspiring women to be great. Um, as I'm doing that, as I'm inspiring women, as I'm encouraging women, I also like to think that it's a byproduct um, that we create healthy relationships with men as well. I believe learning yourself, learning thyself, and getting to mastering yourself as a woman, you are then better able to relate to others, including the men that you deal with on a day to day. I wanted to live stream and discuss a video that I watched the other day on the Diary of a CEO. It's a podcast. Basically, he brings on a lot of guests. And what's his name? I had it written here. Stephen Bartlett is his name. He had on the podcast Mindy, Dr. Mindy Pels, and I didn't even expect to watch this video, and um, I didn't expect them to go in and talk about hormones and how different hormones relate to the menstrual cycle. So when I got to that part, I was like, ooh, this is good. I really want to talk about this. This is the things that I've already been talking about on my channel, but she went into such an in-depth, I guess. She went further in depth to a point where I'm like, this is the kind of conversations that I want to have on my podcast. So I want to review a video today. Based on that, I'm thinking by the end of this video, I'll know if I want to create a series with this. But I am thinking I would like to make this into a multiple part. I would like to make this into a multiple part video. Um, Again, this is my first time going live, so I think it'll be fun, first of all, to test it out, but also to learn the system. Let me bring in the video that I had for y'all that I kind of want to react to. Oh, one other thing. I am actually closing in on finishing a course that I'm creating for midwives and medical professional. It's more catered to the midwife, but also it's a course for anyone specializing in women's health, and it's called Mastering Your Hormones. So how ironic was it that I'm creating a course for midwives in order to gain CEUs for their certifications, and I come across this information. I'm like, this is just really what I'm supposed to be doing. So um, let's give it a go.
Interview with Kate Northrup on my podcast, and she's an entrepreneur, and she actually maps her whole business cycle around her menstrual cycle. This is the language.
Yeah. So this is the doctor I was telling you about, Mindy Pels, I believe is her name. And she was interviewing, as you can see, with Stephen Bartlett. And she was getting into how she did an interview with a lady named Kate Northrup. And I actually went to that video and I was like, oh, wow, there's levels to learning, your hormones and how your hormones interact with your day to day. And here's something she had to say before I get back to the podcast.
In which we can talk to those around us. So do you do that when you're like talking to your husband? Do you what about your team? Do you, I mean, just like we started this off, you're like, I'm on day 2. Here I am.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have, I mean, people will say like, oh, maybe this is TMI. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. Right.
Definitely not.
Talk about TMI. So I actually added a video portion here on me talking about, again, I've been teaching this for a while. I added a video on me testing my pH on camera. And at this point, it's not too much information for me to discuss. I've tested with you all my pH. I've tested dipping my urine on screen, testing my luteinizing hormone to determine if I'm ovulating. I've taken pregnancy tests, all sorts of tests. I've also taken an AMH test, the anti-Müllerian hormone, which lets you know if you still have eggs or follicles, and how many eggs likely that you have for pregnancy and fertility purposes. So just like her, when she says TMI, I'm like, I don't think it's TMI. You're either a man or a woman, and you're going to deal with women for the rest of your lives. Why not be comfortable understanding women and relating to them regarding these different topics? I don't know. That's just me. But here's that clip. So I just washed my hands. We're going to do this. Let me tie my hair back. Gently insert a swab, not included in the package, against the vaginal wall and very slowly rotate the swab several times. I ain't gonna get that personal, but let's see. Yeah. I insert the swab. Okay. Got the swab. And it's clear, luckily. Don't be zooming all up in the camera, okay? Withdraw the swab from the vagina. Check.
Yeah.
Is that TMI? Maybe. For some, it may be. And I completely understand it, but I have a love for and a passion for women's health and teaching women about their bodies. And it's only one way to really do that. You have to get, transparent and open up about these subjects to where they're not taboo, to where they're more normalized in your conversations. But this was the rest of that interview. Well, not the rest, but
the day I start my period, I let my husband know. I also let him know a few days leading up, just so I'm in my prickly time. And he's like, okay, great. Good to know. And then, then I let him know. And even my girls, they were like, Mama, let's run to school. And I was like, not today. Mama's on day 2 of her period.
Yes, she got it.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Just being open again and vulnerable about what it is that you're experiencing, especially your mate. Why wouldn't you want your partner to know, babe, today maybe is not the day? Mm. Maybe you want to choose a different day or a different time to have certain conversations, or maybe you want to choose a different day to plan certain dates or activities. Even getting your young girls and kids in conversation is important. Teaching them how to master their hormones so they're living their best lives.
Got it, that was the master hormone that could start to change all other hormones. So I do believe like conversations like we're having right now are massively important on so many different levels so people can understand us. But I also want to say to the women listening, this is the language in which we can talk to those around us. And so we had a beautiful conversation.
Exactly. Again, just to reiterate, um, it's just important. I think it's healthy to have these sort of conversations. I remember a few years back, I said, I want to create an app where I can share it with my partner or share it with my family to know where it is that I'm in the menstrual cycle so that they have a better idea of how to deal with me, right? How to relate to me, relationships. Um, they already have the app. I'm kind of late on that, but I still think it's important. There's a couple of menstrual apps that I use that I can later go back and talk about or make a video about, but still, I mean, it's also a good way for your partner to be proactive. Like, okay, I know she's going to be having these cravings on this day. Why not bring home her favorite, candy? Because she's going to be craving sweets and carbs during a certain period. Why not think ahead? And it's a lot that can be said about how to deal with men and men issues by knowing your hormones. But first, let's ladies master our hormones so that we can better know ourselves first. And men too, you can teach them a thing or two.
Conversation about this. And she said that she doesn't do as many Zoom calls. She tells her team that she's going to get off.
So she's basically just talking about that interview that she had with Kate.
Work a little bit earlier on those days.
Mm.
She slows everything down. Her workload goes dramatically down. And she said what ended up happening is that when her period started, her productivity went up. So see, when estrogen comes in on starting day 1, day 2 of our menstrual cycles, estrogen makes us really mentally clear, makes us very verbal. Estrogen's an incredible hormone for productivity. But if you aren't minding that back half of your cycle and you're not slowing down then you're coming into your period and you hear so many women who are like, oh, I'm cramping, I'm bleeding a lot, it's really painful. That's because you didn't mind the back half of your cycle.
And I like that. It just feeds off of what it was that I was just saying. And talking about minding the back half of your cycle. Basically, she's saying knowing where you are in a certain period in your menstrual cycle, knowing at which point certain hormones are at its peak, and knowing what it is that those hormones are responsible for. You can cycle and plan out things, activities, events surrounding your hormones, not just your period. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And what's the sort of evolutionary basis for all of this? Why is the body doing this? Why is the body not going to give us our periods? I mean, listen, I don't have a period, but I have a version of it, right? I'm sure men have some kind of.
You guys you work off a 24-hour cycle.
Okay.
So every 15 minutes you get testosterone.
Okay.
You know we joke about that, right?
What do you say? You joke behind our backs.
Kind of.
What do you say?
So that's something new. I don't know a whole lot about men and their hormones because it's not something that I studied or I can say I necessarily was passionate about, but it does make me want to learn more. I mean, testosterone has a lot of great benefits, and you can see how when it's high for women at certain points in your menstrual cycle, it's more of that creative, that go-getter, that productive hormone, and men has it cycling every 24 hours. Kind of jealous, but I thought that was interesting. So I would like to learn a little more about men and their hormones as well for this purpose.
The joke is like, if you don't like what your husband's saying, just ask him in 15 minutes. He might say something
Oh,
different.
that's what you've been saying. Oh, so-
Just letting you in on what might be
Okay.
going on behind the scenes.
okay. So, what is the evolutionary basis for why that is true?
So think about, let's go back to our primal days. So, testosterone is meant to have you go out and hunt. It's a very motivating, you get it every 15 minutes. So, God, this sounds, as I'm saying it sounds so sexist, but when we look at the body, this is actually how we're built. So your body was driven to go hunt and go find and go achieve. That's the number one hormone that it works off of. For the women, we are meant to be more outgoing before ovulation. Okay, why is that?
Oh,
I think that's a very important place to kind of sum up. We as humans, we are more discreet than our not male, but our counterparts, our mammals, our animals, right? Our best friends. And we're more discreet because of evolution and because of, just the way we've evolved as humans. And now you have your menses, and mammals have estrus. The difference between estrus and menses really is that menses is more discreet, right? We even have our tampons, which they call a secret. They're branded as secret. And in menses, you're not having those outwardly symptoms. Like you're not having those animalistic symptoms of being in heat. You don't have the engorged genitals and the mating calls. You're not outwardly showing signs. And also, as women, we also mask a lot of those symptoms too with birth control. We've learned to master or self pleasure. So, a lot of times, men aren't able to tell when we're ovulating or when we have certain where we're at in our menstrual cycle because we can mask those symptoms.
We need to connect. We need to start to feel that mental clarity. Estrogen makes your hair really like full and your skin really glow, and it starts to make us more beautiful, all leading up to ovulation. Once ovulation hits, now we have estrogen at our peak, we have a little bit of testosterone, and we have a little bit of progesterone. Okay, well, why is that? Because now our libido's up, we're motivated to reproduce, we're looking beautiful because we have so much estrogen going through our body, we're verbal, we can connect, and we have progesterone to keep us calm. So we're supposed to reproduce when ovulation hits. And then the back half, technically, we would have a fertilized egg and we would be winding down. And if we didn't get a fertilized egg, then we're supposed to relax so we can go back and do the extroverted piece of ourselves in the front half of our cycle. So it's all based off of reproduction.
so I need some advice.
That's a good point. Again, knowing that we are created to be fruitful and to multiply, right? The main reason for ovulation is conception, to have coitus, have sex, and reproduce. So, a lot of those hormones, again, the estrogen, for example, is very high when it's time for you to find a mate or for your mate to be attracted to you and for you to even become aroused and wanting the urge to reproduce. And once you ovulate, and your body, okay, you send the hormones to your body or to your brain, and it's like, we're going to now produce other hormones such as progesterone, which is the hormone that maintains the pregnancy. This is the hormones that's going to get you, and this, how do I describe it? Progesterone is used, it's sort of like the male or the masculine hormone. Think of estrogen as the female hormone. So that that progesterone is on the rise. It's going to help you to build, create a womb for that space. It's the hormone that helps to create. It's the hormone that helps to produce and maintain life. But if you're not pregnant, if the egg is not fertilized, it's going to send signals to your brain that, okay, we're not pregnant, so we need to get our body back. Let's try this again, right? Let's go for round 2. And when that happens, there's a plummet of hormones. And this is around the time where women start to experience those hormonal shifts when they are experiencing PMS at the highest level, and understanding why could help you better mitigate that.
Because I'm in a relationship and I want to understand, I guess this goes both ways. I want my girlfriend to understand how hormones are influencing my behavior.
Yeah.
And I want to know how hormones are influencing her behavior.
Yeah.
What advice have you got for me?
Well, the first is, do you know her cycle?
That's a valid question.
Moving on, we're going to talk about sugar again.
No, this is too good.
So sugar, it's really bad, isn't it? Who's to blame?
No, seriously, no.
Tell me about your childhood.
No.
So I thought that was very telling. It's like, I want to know more about my lady, right? Tell me more. Give me the secrets. Give me the blueprint. And in actuality, there is no blueprint other than learning your lady, getting to know her cycle, learning at what points her cycle are at its peak or at its lowest, and learning how to, maneuver from there. But I thought it was funny because not only that, he's probably thinking, that's a large undertaking. It probably will take me a long time to really understand my lady. If you want me to go and study hormones, right? It's like signing up for a second degree in a sense. But I think it's worth it. I recorded several years ago, I started teaching women about their menstrual cycle. And there was a point where I recorded my full menstrual cycle from day 1 to either like day 25 or 26, because I naturally am on a clock and my cycles are pretty regular. So I thought it would be cool for myself to not only learn myself through the process and learn what days I'm affecting or what days I'm experiencing what based on my hormone levels. And in this series of videos, I can link it maybe in the description. But in this video series, each day or every 2 days, I talked about what it was that I was dealing with on that day. And I also went into depth explaining to women what hormones are typically for the average or normal cycle, what hormones are dominating that day or what hormones you're lacking. And for me, it was pretty eye-opening. I really enjoyed doing that. And I would suggest if you are interested in knowing yourself on that level and how hormones affect you and what you could expect, to take a diary, record for one full menstrual cycle. The first day of your menstrual cycle, that's the day you first bleed. Record what it is that you are craving, that you're eating, your sleeping patterns, your moods, how are you relating to people. And as you're doing that, also researching what hormones are at play. And you really, if you start to do this and if you continue to do this over time, you'll know like, okay, let me open up my period app because the way I just went off on him, it was not called for. I must be PMSing really bad. And I think it gives you that much power. You're empowered to, have better. It empowers you, in your day to day, even at work. Fasting, you're fasting. You need to know what days you should be fasting based on your menstrual cycle, all the things that I plan to go over in this series. But I added this in just to give you a quick glimpse of what I meant by that video series that I have on my page. Day 23 of the menstrual cycle. Today was interesting. He ran away. But as you can see, I'm very in my emotions tonight. Day 23, I'm definitely feeling a sense of vulnerability. Feeling a sense of very emotional tonight, thinking about loved ones, wanting to connect with loved ones, or fighting the urge to rekindle or reach out to old flames. And I'm in my feelings. That's, to say the least, I'm definitely in my feelings tonight. The main symptoms that I'm experiencing these last 2 days, and that would be self-criticism, definitely on an emotional roller coaster. I'm definitely emotional, sensitive in my feelings these last 2 days. In 2 more days, I'll probably look back on it and say, why was I tripping? That wasn't even that big of a deal. Like, really? Knowing that, okay, in day 23 and 24, your estrogen levels are plummeting. They're pretty much at the lowest point throughout the menstrual cycle, and that accounts for a lot of those premenstrual symptoms.
Get to know.
And I'm actually getting ready to wrap it up, but basically, that says it all. Again, just documenting and tracking your cycles using an app. When I first started tracking my periods, I believe it was called the Period app. Now I'm subscribed and I use Glow because I like to take advantage of the different vlogs and read different things. It's a very good app when tracking your fertilization, using different birth control methods such as the basal body temperature. It's a lot you can do on the Glow app. But what it is that I'm trying to explain is that I've been tracking for years my menstrual cycle, not so much understanding the hormones, in depth, but again, just an overall knowing, getting to learn your body and how you can relate better with others.
Our cycle. I'm gonna give you gold right now.
I?
Let me give you gold. Okay, so day 1 of her cycle, day 1 to day 10, she's building estrogen. First couple of days of her cycle, just let her be. Like that she's transitioning out of the back half of her cycle. She might be having some heavier bleeding. She's moving into that extroverted place. So the first 2 days, give her some space. Now day 3.
And that wraps up today, my first day of live streaming. I'm going to leave it at that teaser and pick it back up from there. if this is something that you all enjoy, or any feedback, actually, if you could write down in the comment section and let me know how my first live went. I don't have the ability to like multitask on different things such as comments and pulling up different slides. Like, this is my first time using this platform, and of course it takes practice. I did go ahead and order different things like my stream deck. And anyway, just comment in the comment section and let me know what you think of video quality, sound quality, how I can improve so that I can continue to come and give you guys some good, empowering information and really just break a lot of this stuff down. I really have a passion for women's health, and I really truly believe in when you're mastering these hormones, you really master relationships. And it goes further into menopause, dealing with different conditions like PCOS or infertility issues. Um, it's a lot that can be shared, and and there's a lot that I can educate and encourage you guys on. So, hey, I am a nurse practitioner. I'm not your practitioner. So, disclaimer, anything that I did mention in this video or in my future videos, please speak to your practitioner, your primary provider, for any specific health concerns. Thank y'all. We'll see how this went.